Dragon Age the Veilguard, to absolutely no one's surprise, unless you're a mainstream shill or a gamer that's too stupid to understand that everyone hates this woke garbage. It was a complete and total failure. It was a flop, a financial disaster for EA and BioWare. It was so bad that after they announced that, yes, indeed, Dragon Age the Veilguard sold less than 1.5 million copies when they were expecting 3 million over the first several months, EA's stock price took a dive, was down like 20% just one day after being forced to admit that. And now, because of this failure, specifically at BioWare, everything is changing. We talked about this. We said that, one, that's not the same BioWare that it was 10, 15, 20 years ago when they were making so many of the favorite games you've ever played in your life. But this is a company that cannot afford more massive failures like this. After the disaster known as Anthem, and now after Dragon Age the Veilguard, BioWare confirms job cuts and structural changes after Dragon Age the Veilguard's commercial failure. And yeah, a lot of changes going on at BioWare because, quite frankly, they can't afford to fail like this again. After Dragon Age the Veilguard comes up short, BioWare undergoes changes. BioWare is becoming a, quote, more agile and focused studio that aims to make unforgettable games, beginning with the next Mass Effect. Well, I think Dragon Age the Veilguard will be fairly unforgettable, just not for the reasons that you actually want. BioWare's restructured core team is focused on the next Mass Effect. Considering how long it's been since BioWare last released a game, and with that game being Anthem, it's fair to say Dragon Age the Veilguard had a lot riding on its shoulders. Despite receiving generally solid reviews from woke, retarded critics, it seems that EA views this game as a disappointment compared to previous releases. That's weird. A gamer says this because the gamer's been shilling for this game. All these mainstream outlets were shilling for Dragon Age the Veilguard for months, despite the fact that it got nuked in ratios on the YouTube channel, despite that so many people said, what is all this trash? What's this non-binary acceptance storyline? Why is this an RPG that's not really an RPG? I can't be mean. I can't disagree. I just have to go along with all this cringe, stupid bullshit. The game was trash. The audience told you it was trash, but the mainstream critics and press tried to tell you it was awesome. So now they can't understand why it was such a big disappointment. Even Anthem, keep this in mind. Anthem, one of the biggest failures they've seen, as admitted in this article, that sold 2 million copies in the first 2 weeks. Dragon Age the Veilguard, less than 1.5 million copies sold in nearly 3 months. Just to put that in perspective for you. That's how bad it failed. But now we have this. Fans have been a little worried about BioWare's future since it was revealed, and it seems that was a fair assessment. EA is restructuring BioWare full focus on Mass Effect. Here's some of the quotes that we have here. Reimagine how we work at BioWare. As reported by IGN, this means EA is moving a number of the studio's developers onto other projects within the company, while a core team puts its full focus on the next Mass Effect game. In a blog post, the notes say the next Mass Effect game is being developed under the leadership of the original trilogy veterans, such as Mike Gamble and Derek Watts. Now, it's been a long-ass time since I played the original Mass Effect games, and I don't know how influential some people were or were not in the making of these games and how many people have left the entire project since then. I know a lot of people have. I know a lot of people are very influential in the Mass Effect games, writers, things like this that have fucking booked, and they're no longer part of BioWare. Quote, given this stage of development, we don't require support from the full studio. We have incredible talent here at BioWare, and so we've worked diligently over the past few months to match many of our colleagues with other teams at EA that had open roles that were a strong fit. Basically, we're downsizing, right? We're downsizing BioWare, where we're taking these places and we're just going to focus. The only thing we're going to focus on is the new Mass Effect game, and we're probably not going to see it for years and years and years. And quite frankly, it's probably a good thing. Because if this next Mass Effect game, Mass Effect 5, Mass Effect 4, whatever it decides to be, whatever they decide to call it, because Mass Effect Andromeda doesn't really feel like Mass Effect 4, whatever they decide to call it, it is going to be probably the determining factor of whether or not this studio continues. And it's sad because growing up, playing video games growing up, bro, I love so much shit related to BioWare. They don't even handle Star Wars The Old Republic anymore. Right? They passed that off to somebody else, I think sometime last year. So that they're doing nothing other than getting ready for Mass Effect 5. And this is following a bunch of fucking layoffs. This is following cutting a bunch of things, changing everything internally, because the last game they released was a cataclysmic failure in Dragon Age the Veilguard. Who possibly could have seen that coming? Anyone with a working fucking brain.